It wasn't a choice. You adapted. You became quieter, smarter, more pleasing, anything to stay safe. And now, years later, you call it your personality. But the truth is, much of who you think you are began as a survival response. Somewhere in your childhood, something inside you decided, this is how I'll stay loved. This is how I'll keep the peace. This is how I'll survive. You didn't plan it. You just adjusted. Maybe your home was loud, filled with anger or chaos. So you learned to shrink, to disappear, to speak softly. You became the quiet one, the easy one. You believed that if you made yourself small enough, no one could hurt you. And now, as an adult, you call it being chill, not wanting drama, just going with the flow. But deep down, that calm is a scar, a learned stillness. Or maybe your home was unpredictable, where love came and went like weather. So you became the achiever, the one who earned approval through effort. Straight A's, perfect behavior, gold stars, anything to feel worthy. Now you call it ambition, drive, discipline. But sometimes, when the world finally gets quiet, you can feel the exhaustion beneath it. That endless hum of, I'm not enough unless I'm doing something. Or maybe you became the caretaker, the one who soothed others' storms to protect yourself. You learned to read every expression, every sigh, to anticipate moods before they turn dangerous. You call it empathy now, emotional intelligence. But it began as survival, as vigilance, because your safety depended on keeping everyone else okay. We like to imagine our personalities are purely authentic, that who we are today is a conscious choice, but so much of it, the patience, the humor, the self-control, even the silence, was once a strategy, a way to stay connected, a way to make the pain stop, a way to keep love from leaving. And as the years passed, the strategy became invisible. It fused into identity. You forgot that the person you became was built in response to what hurt you. Now you think you are that person. You call it independence, but it's isolation. You call it loyalty, but it's fear of abandonment. You call it confidence, but it's armor. You call it boundaries, but it's walls so high no one can climb them. Healing begins when you can look at yourself with gentle curiosity, not judgment, not shame, but understanding. When you can say, I see why I became this way. I understand why I needed those defenses. Because there was a time when those behaviors saved you. Every coping mechanism had an origin. The perfectionism that kept you safe from criticism. The caretaking that gave you a sense of control. The detachment that shielded you from pain. These were not flaws, they were forms of intelligence, your nervous system's way of saying, let's survive this. But survival is not the same as living, and one day those same defenses start to hurt more than they help. The walls that once protected you now keep you lonely. The pleasing that kept you safe now erases your needs. The self-sufficiency that once felt strong now feels empty, and you realize you've built a life around an old wound. This is the quiet crisis most people never name. The dissonance between who you had to be and who you actually are. The sense that something in you has always been performing, even when no one's watching. The subtle grief of realizing you've been living as a mask. But that grief is sacred. It's the first step towards truth. Because healing doesn't mean destroying the person you became. It means meeting them with compassion, thanking them for what they did. They got you here, to safety, to adulthood, to this moment. They did their job. Now it's time to let them rest. The achiever doesn't have to earn love anymore. The caretaker doesn't have to hold everyone together. The quiet one doesn't have to disappear to stay safe. The tough one doesn't have to pretend they don't feel. You can put the armor down now. It feels foreign at first, to soften, to tell the truth instead of smile, to rest instead of prove, to ask for help instead of giving it. Your body might resist it because even safety can feel unsafe when all you've known is survival. You might find yourself apologizing for needing space, for saying no, for crying, because deep down you still believe your worth depends on how well you manage other people's emotions. But healing is not about becoming a different person. It's about becoming more yourself. It's remembering the child beneath the coping, the one who wanted to laugh without scanning the room first, the one who wanted to be held without earning it, the one who wanted to exist without performance. That version of you is still there, buried beneath the years of adaptation. They've been waiting, patiently, for the day you'd remember them. The day you'd realize you never had to earn love. That love isn't something you perform for. It's something you come home to. When people talk about inner child work, this is what they mean. Not regression, but reunion. Not becoming childish, but becoming whole. It's letting the adult you meet, the child you were with, kindness instead of critique. To say, you did what you had to do, thank you, but we're safe now. Healing doesn't erase your past, it integrates it. It gives you the freedom to choose, to act from awareness instead of reaction. It lets you respond with presence instead of protection. And slowly you start to see yourself not as broken, but as beautifully adaptive, a living record of how deeply humans can transform pain into wisdom. The hardest part is that others might still prefer your old self, the agreeable one, the fixer, the strong one who never asks for anything. But you'll learn that your peace is worth disappointing others. You'll learn that love without authenticity isn't really love. It's a contract of fear. And you'll learn that vulnerability isn't weakness, it's the door to being known. The person you became to survive was never the enemy. They were the bridge, from danger to safety, from chaos to understanding. But now you're allowed to cross that bridge. You're allowed to live differently. You're allowed to become someone softer, freer, more honest. You might not recognize yourself at first. You might grieve the old roles that once gave you meaning. But one day you'll look in the mirror and feel something new. Not performance, not survival, but peace. And maybe that's the real sign of healing. Not that you've fixed yourself, but that you've remembered yourself. That you can finally meet your reflection and think, this is me. Not the mask, not the armor, not the persona, just me. And for the first time, that feels safe. And as you walk through life now, through the noise, the pressure, the expectations, there will still be moments when the old instincts return. When the caretaker wants to fix, when the achiever wants to prove, when the quiet one wants to disappear. But you'll catch it sooner each time. You'll breathe, you'll pause, and you'll remember that you're not in danger anymore. You'll choose connection over control, honesty over perfection, truth over performance. And in that quiet, something remarkable happens. The person you became to survive finally meets the person you were always meant to be, and together they become whole.